let's dive into the article and what you wrote about related to Kyle Schwarber and really Cal Raleigh versus Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani.
The point of what I wrote is simply this, that whoever is the best should win. Now, it seems like a simple concept, but human nature being what it is, my suspicion is at least some writers will be looking for a new flavor of the month, and that should not be in any way a factor in this voting. Now, I know Shohei Ohtani has won 3 of the last 4, or MVPs 3 of the last 4 years, Judge 2 of the last 3. The year Ohtani didn't win in this 4-year span was the year Judge hit 62 home runs and edged him, or actually wasn't that even close. So, yeah, I'm sure everybody would like in a perfect world to see some new faces, but that doesn't dictate what a voter should do. What dictates what a voter should do is the actual on-field performance of all of the players involved. Now, if Raleigh and Schwarber are deserving, yes, they're the MVPs. But if Judge and Ohtani are deserving, then they're the MVPs. I don't have any preference. I don't care one way or the other. All I want to see is that we do this right, because I don't want, and I should have included this in the column and I forgot, I don't want us to look back in 20 years and have people say, what the hell were the writers thinking? We have done these kinds of things with other awards, and we've made mistakes. We're not perfect, obviously, and that's my fear, that someone will get shafted here simply because I'm tired of voting for Aaron Judge. Not cool. Not a way to go.
Yeah, and I agree with you 1,000%. I think you're 100% right. Whoever deserves to be the MVP deserves it, no matter how many times they've gotten it. Now, my question to you as a writer, broadcaster, guy's been around baseball a long time, what is a certain criteria, or what do you just look for an MVP? Like, I went over some numbers just now about RBIs, home runs, average, just certain things that maybe I would look for. I'm not necessarily a big guy on WAR. You know, people have different quirks about what they're looking for. Like, is there certain criteria that you specifically, all right, this guy has to lead in this category or it's a problem for me?
There actually are criteria for the MVP voting, but in the end, Todd, it comes down to subjectivity. The criteria is like strength of offense and defense, character, that kind of thing. You can vote however the heck you want. And part of the criteria as well is you can win multiple times, all these kinds of vague things. What I look at generally are the leading offensive and defensive metrics, but in this case with Cal Raleigh, I don't believe the defensive metrics necessarily apply because I don't believe they will capture his full value. Now, last year, he won the Platinum Glove as the best defensive player in the American League, the single best. Some of his metrics this year aren't as good, but not all of them were brilliant last year. So he is that guy behind the plate. There's no question that he brings incredible value at the game's most important position. And I'm not going to go by his WAR rating because I don't trust the defensive metrics, to get it right with him. So while I might look at WAR in certain cases, it's tough when you're dealing with guys at different positions because there are different values assigned. Now, I know WAR kind of covers that to some degree, but for instance, Bobby Witt versus Aaron Judge last year, the shortstop's more valuable. Now, Judge had this incredible offensive year, one of the greatest offensive years by a right-handed hitter ever. Witt's the MVP every other year, but he wasn't last year. So I kind of take a look at everything, and I don't particularly value one stat over another, but I kind of look at the whole stew and try to figure it out as best I can.
Does a team need to make the playoffs? Is that hard? Is that hard to not cook that into Ken Rosenthal's WAR theory or Ken Rosenthal's MVP theory?
Eric, it is my preference. I always prefer a guy to be playing for a postseason qualifier or contender, simply because, in my view, the pressure of the games that player is playing in September is different than the pressure that a player from a non-contender is facing. And there are some people who disagree with that. Every major league game is important. Every major league game has pressure. But to me, there is an elevated set of circumstances when you're competing for the postseason. So yes, that matters. Now, in the cases of the 4 players we're discussing here, Schwarber, Raleigh, Judge, and Ohtani, they're all playing for contenders. So it's really not a deciding factor one way or the other. And if for some reason the Mariners don't make the postseason, well, maybe it's because Cal Raleigh struggled down the stretch. That certainly comes into play, but I expect all of these teams to indeed be appearing in October.
Can you rank, and I know it's tough because you have to think about all of the other 4 home run games that you've seen, but Schwarber's 4 home run game last night, can you rank it as far as how impressive it is? Because they're all impressive. There's only been 21 in Major League history. But had he hit the 5th one against Vidal Brujan, how much visceral hate there would have been. I would have been super excited, but I was halfway through my drive to Boston, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, if he had hit that home run, there would have been so many haters who would have been like, no, wipe it out of the books, position player, this guy from the 80s and 90s would have tweeted, it doesn't count. But can you kind of hit on that a little bit?
Well, as we saw, it's not so easy to even hit a home run off Vidal Brujan. So, yes, you're right, Eric. That discussion would have taken place. There's no question, and it would have been heated. But if he had hit 5, man, then he's hitting 5. And it wouldn't have mattered to me. It would have been the greatest home run night in Major League history. No asterisks, no qualifiers. Now, as far as the greatest 4 home run games, I don't know. The only one I saw in person was Josh Hamilton's in Baltimore, and that was incredible. It was a sight to behold. But my goodness, last night, as we're seeing the highlights here, certainly fit the same description. As you said, Eric, they're all great, and I don't even know how necessarily to distinguish one from the other, but if he had hit the 5th, that would have been distinguishing.
Yeah, that's his kryptonite. I mean, he joked about it, but he doesn't like facing position players. Hey, it's a soft tossing player usually on the mound in that case, so you have less to work with. Anyway, let's get to what I think is really special about today. We have more debuts on the way from young pitching phenom prospects in the minor leagues that we didn't expect to be here at this point. And Ken, for me, it's not just the fact that Peyton Tolley, who you reported on yesterday, making the start tonight for Boston, and Jonah Tong making his debut for the Mets tonight. It's not just that they get called up earlier than anticipated. It's that if they perform, they might shine and be stars of October in their rookie season.
Absolutely, Scott. And we're seeing that with Nolan McLean. He is with the Mets. He just came up. He's had 3 starts. They've been brilliant. He could be a critical part of the October equation. It's probably unrealistic to expect Peyton Tolley and Jonah Tong to be as good as McLean has been. It would be almost impossible to be that good. But there is a lot of excitement with these particular matchups tonight. Obviously, with Tolley debuting at Fenway against Paul Skeens, that's a whole nother layer to it. And both of these guys as well, I should mention this, have terrific backstories. And in Tolley's case, Chris Castillo of MassLive.com wrote about him a couple of weeks ago, I think. He lost his mom while he was in college, and he's kind of pitching for her. And he supposedly is this really good guy, gregarious, and his mom was the same way. So I encourage people to read Chris's story. And also Ian O'Connor today in The Athletic gets into Tong and how he was not a guy that people thought was going to be this. And yet, here he is. A guy who grew up in Toronto, bears somewhat of a physical resemblance to Lincecum and looks like Lincecum on the mound. There's no other Tim Lincecum. I'm not drawing a comparison, but there is some parallel there. So I'm really excited for tonight for both these guys, and it should be pretty cool, no matter how it turns out.
Is there any bigger picture that we can learn from what's going on right now, Ken, or do you remember seeing something like this in the past? I bring it up because I'm wondering if teams are saying, hey, let's not waste bullets in the minors if we think there's a chance they can help in the majors and we have a need. We see prospects sometimes getting the fast track more than ever anyway.
That's true. And I would throw The Miz into this category as well. He came up this year relatively late, and teams are looking to their top pitching prospects for perhaps more immediate help than in the past. Now, obviously, it takes a certain kind of pitcher to be able to make this jump. Tolley was a 2024 draft pick, for heaven's sake. This is his first pro season. He's gone from high A to double A to triple A and now to the majors. That is unheard of, pretty much. So I don't know that it's necessarily something we're going to see much of in the future, but it certainly is lining up for these guys. And Scott, you're right. Teams definitely now are more willing than in the past to jump pitchers and even position players, certainly position players, more quickly than they have before.
Is that a credit to development in the minor leagues? Is that a credit to the fact that teams just don't want to pay veteran guys because they don't have the same stuff? Because history says guys don't bounce from the minor leagues to the big leagues in less than a year, unless you're like Dave Winfield, John Olerud. Like there's like a very, very small portion, and we're seeing too many of those guys right now. Like a third of the Angels team barely spent any time in the minor leagues. So teams are doing this. What's the precipice of it? What's the reasoning for them to do it?
Impatience and the desire to get the most talented players to the big leagues as quickly as possible. And I wonder too, they're paying these guys big bonuses, the highest draft picks, right? Whatever the number might be, well, you want to return on that investment, I guess, as quickly as possible. But it seems to me that with pitching, it stems from the number of pitchers teams have to go through each season to get through a season because of the increased rate of injury. And that is really what is a driver here. And yes, impatience too. All of that. And all of what you said, Eric, actually figures into it. I would think salary figures into it as well. Sure. But to me, the starting point is the way teams run through pitchers today, which is just unprecedented in the game's history.
I want to skip a little bit over here to the Yankees. Oh, am I? You got me?
You're good. You're here. Yep.
Yankees, Blue Jays, Red Sox, all in the pennant race here. I couldn't be more excited if you want the truth. Understandably, all three of these teams have a good chance. The Blue Jays are in first place. How do you see this shaking up with a little bit over a month left to play?
Well, first of all, we talked about the excitement regarding Tolley and Tong tonight, but we've got a great series coming up. The two best teams in baseball, the Brewers and Blue Jays, are meeting this weekend. I still see the Blue Jays hanging on. I think they have enough of a cushion. The addition of Bieber, if he's as good as he was in his first start, and all the credit to him for doing what he's done coming off Tommy John, then I think certainly the Blue Jays are going to be the leading team in that division. Now, beyond that, who knows where the Yankees are? They are great against the Nationals. They are not so great against teams that are better. The Red Sox are coming on, and the Red Sox are a legitimate team, but we'll just have to see how their back of the rotation holds up for the month of September. Guys, I got to run.
Oh, go for it, Ken. Appreciate you.
Thanks. All right, talk to you later, guys.
Okay. Thanks, Ken. All right, FT fam, that's the Inside Scoop powered by MLB Rivals. If you want to go check out the game, bottom right corner of your screen, we just had that QR code up for the entire time. So make sure you check that out. Also, here's more information on the game. Bryce Harper on the cover.
In baseball, one thing defines your legacy: the Hall of Fame, a place reserved for immortals, the chosen few who have sacrificed, fought, and bled for the game. With every swing, every play, every challenge faced,
Harper's not happy about that.
it's about achieving greatness that echoes through time. And now is your time to rise to the challenge, chase immortality, and become a legend. Download MLB Rivals.